Hello, hi, welcome back. Um, this module, which I'll be referring to as navigating module number 5, which you can actually see here, um, starts us on how to do moderation. Now, moderation systems are developed based on the quality assurance standards of the ETP, or rather the university or the college. Now, they may differ from one institution to another, but the goal is one, to make sure that the assessments are of quality standards, and before this assessment go to the examination, they have been checked and ensure that they meet the best standard possible, avoid errors, ambiguity, learning outcomes not being followed. So the kind of moderation that I want us to go through in module number 5, it's more focused on the assessment or the exam paper. There are people who may develop, or the institution may develop moderation criteria standards pre-moderation, where you check the system before the exam is done, during the examination, and even after the examination. So this is solely focused on question or assessments, right? More like you develop the assessment earlier. On the other hand, the report that you may come up with may be based on sampled moderation papers. And remember, moderation is not conducted by one person. The idea here is to use a team, a group of moderators, and then reconcile the the moderation issues that you come up with. Then when you're dealing as a group, it's better to improve the standard of the assessment compared to one person just moderating, because in most cases we find issues that come after that. Okay, now to cut the story short, now in this particular aspect here, we see moderation resources which are based from A, B, C, D. Now if I happen to look at this, B is where you're going to start with. Of course, A is the video that we are going through currently, but now if I click part B, now it gives us moderation criteria standard, meaning the concept of moderation. What do I mean by this? Now, these standards are broken down into different components. If you recall our assessment, you may remember it was based on different criteria. When you're developing assessment, you're given certain guideline. Now, this is where now you cross-check based on the standards met in terms of what was supposed to be developed, which is not met, partially met, or fully met. Now the beauty part of here, you can see different guideline of your comment. If your decision is not met, there's some element guiding you on how to comment on this. Now if it's fully met, you can see on your end what is supposed to be. So it's as simple as that. If you peruse through, it goes through each and every aspect, including assessment content, what do you need to check and comment on every area. So as a moderator, it guides you on simple references on how you can work on based on what you may decide to be this aspect, in terms of when it comes to either do you agree whether it's not met, or is it partially met or fully met. Now in most cases, if it's not met, it's advisable to comment the reasons behind that. If it's also partially met, also comment the reason why you suggest this has not been, because this could lead to final decision or either rejecting or remoderation. In most cases, when you claim it's fully met, I don't think there's anything much, because in your opinion it has been fully achieved. But remember, your moderation will now be reconciled with other moderators, and then where you agree, you can pass that particular decision. But where you disagree, then it means it's time to harmonize your suggestion and see the reason why you do not agree on some issues. Some may be minor and should not delay your examination from going further, but others may be grave, or rather may be material, that may lead even to remoderation, or rather to rejecting of that particular assessment. So take your time. This part B, you can download it, read every comment, because later you may be required to moderate an assessment, and you need to give proper decision to the point without beating around the bush. So take your time, and this is addressed mainly in part B. All right, now in continuity, we have the next part, which is part C. Now what does part C say? Now in this case, I've given you the moderation decision after moderating those decisions or using a checklist to moderate, you must come to a final decision. What are the decisions? The decisions is when the harmony of moderators may decide, well, let's approve because the all criteria have been met, or there are no major issue, or where there are minor changes, especially when there are minor issues that the assessor should correct, and maybe probably you don't dedicate so much resources to remoderate. But there are areas where you may see almost 50% of these particular aspect or errors need to go back for remoderation, where you have to conduct a full remoderation with the team and make sure that the areas which were material were corrected. But where most of the standards are not met, you may resort to rejecting that assessment. And this is important so that you don't just allow things that do not agree. So that's why you see I've broken down for you a little bit of what may lead to either correcting or rather remoderation or rather rejecting. So read through this module to understand or appreciate what may need to be either corrected for minor changes, remoderation or rather rejection. And I made a decision to give you every component that will really help you discuss what need to be done. For example, if instruction to candidates are missing, then that is, you should completely reject that. Okay, so redesign the instruction. The decision should be redesign the instruction entirely to meet the requirement. So these are things that assessors should see, so that the assessors can be given those guidelines so that they can correct these items. And the most important is that when you have a proper guideline, it really helps you resolve some of these issues. So go through these moderation decision elements where you can now help, especially coming up with your own template. Remember, institution may decide on what is so important to come up. It may vary from one institution, it may vary from one assessment to another, but it's good to come up with a harmonized moderation policy which guides the assessors to come up with this. So go through point C, which is very important to help you moderate in most aspects. Okay. Now, the last part, which I would also ask you to upload or rather download and look through, it's now the checklist report. Now, in most cases, each moderator should have this checklist. So depending on your responsibility, if you're part of the team, make sure you're given the assessment, and in a way you're given this aspect to moderate. It will be more like this, giving each aspect, so that now you can comment. You can imagine you provided with an assessment and you're looking through this aspect and you're conducting aspect to say you're mentioning whether it's met or partially met or not met, and finally making sure that you make a decision. Remember, go to part B to see the kind of comments you should make. Don't think too much. See the guideline, the specifics that you could add. So if you had decided that the decision here is not met, go up there and see the kind of comments you should bring in so that you can standardize. In most cases, it's good to use part B so that most moderators can have a harmony of some of how they comment, other than avoiding, trying to avoid so much written or jargon that come with unnecessary quality moderation element. So this is more of an overview that I would ask you, please go through all these three documents in part B, section C and section D. It will help you prepare yourself if you're provided with a moderation criteria. Now, this moderation decision also down here, you can see if you decide approved, assessment meets requirement, approved with the changes, you comment here on this template. Of course, resend for moderation because of what has been commented there, and of course reject because of grave or material issues that may come up with that assessment. Okay, I hope this gives us some guideline on how to go through on moderation. I wanted to maintain only 10 minutes because most of the work is with you to review this so that it can give you an open mind. Now, module 6, you need to hear this, will be preparing you for a moderation activity. So you need to acquire this knowledge so that when you go to module 6, you just moderate. In this case, you don't have to do any moderation in module number 5. All you need to do, you can use this checklist to practice with your own assessment that you have done, all right, so that you can put yourself in that position. But in module 6, which is our final part of assessor and moderator training, you'll be provided with a template that you over question, and you'll be requested to moderate based on the questions that are going to be provided. I can't wait for you to do that, because it will bring harmony of a team, of a group of us, and we'll be able to see how our decisions are. It will be automatic. I'm going to make it a computer-based moderation, so that everyone can be in a position to see how moderation is done, with everyone comments, and how we can try to harmonize our moderation. This is very awesome, and hopefully this will help us better and improve our quality of moderation of assessment. All right, I'll see you soon for module 6 on moderation of an assessment. Great, perfect.